God. If your story does not include what's possible, you haven't told the whole story. Have you been around people who, when you go out and maybe you go out to dinner and you sit down and then another 2 or 3 people come and they sit down at a table close by, and then that person, you can see it instantly, their mind turns on and they have like 100 stories about those people that just sat down that they don't know about, haven't heard a word that they said. Do you know people like that? I know people like that. I know somebody that's very close to me who's like that. And I go, oh, really? How did you get that? How did you get that? So sometimes this ability in us to create and tell stories, it's good, but only in its proper place. But when we are trying to change our lives, we can't be making up stuff. We've got to be willing to tell the whole story. We've got to be willing to sit with it and say, oh, that happened. I'm angry. Why am I angry? Oh, that happened. I'm sad. Why is this making me so sad? Why has this got me so upset? Why am I so tense and so tight about what someone did? Oh, the other part of the story, no one did anything to me. Something occurred, but no one did anything to me. Or the story said, oh, somebody took something from me. Ah, but we forgot the entire story. No, well, if they took it from you, go back and take it back. Come on. If your story doesn't include God, you haven't told the whole story. If your story doesn't include what's possible, you haven't told yourself the whole story. We've got to get proficient at telling ourselves the whole story. We've got to include in our story what's possible. We've got to begin to include in our story, let our stories begin with that there is a power for good that's greater than I am in this story, and that I can use it now, right here, right where I am. This is the truth. And we can do this in every area of our life. We can tell a full, a complete story in our life around our finances, around our health, around wealth. We can tell this story in our career, the same story where we include God, and we can have the same situation, the same story, the same starting point in our relationships. And if everything is God, if God is all there is, then everything is God. In my relationship, and that means that I'm God, that you're God, that the words that we share with each other, that it must be from God. I'm God, you're God, he's God, she's God, the baby is God, the dog is God. It's all God. In our relationships. But the thing is that we don't do that because we're either trying to control something, the person, the situation, or the circumstance, or we think that someone is trying to control us or our situation or our circumstance, so we never get to telling the whole story. And so ours is to no longer resist. No longer resist somebody else's idea, to no longer resist what somebody else is thinking, but to let it go and set them free so that we can set our own selves free in our own thinking, in our own opportunity to create what it is that we desire, in our own ability to tell our own stories. Let them alone. Don't resist. Persist. Get back to affirming that I am one with God, and that you are one with God, and that the God in me greets the God in you, and that the God in me speaks to the God in you. Get back to affirming that we are one with God, that the thoughts and the ideas that move through us are God's ideas. And that in this moment, when we call on clarity, the clarity must be a part of this situation and this circumstance. That understanding must be a part of this situation and this circumstance. That forgiving is occurring right here and right now. That right here, right now, in this situation, in this circumstance, that there's a possibility of us gaining a new perspective. There's an opportunity for us to see it a new way. There's an opportunity for us to move and to be in it in a new way. A story that's complete, that's full of God and all that God is. So we're no longer resisting, giving up control so that we can free ourselves and to free others, to establish a new way of thinking, a new perspective about others, a new perspective about ourselves, a new perspective about life. And God is always our starting point. God is all there is. We affirm that, that I am one with it, so are you. And sometimes we forget. Sometimes we forget that all of God must be where we are, and that it in us guides us. It in us directs us. It in us. It in us. Sometimes we forget. And so we've got to get out of our own way. We've got to begin to get out of our own way. And so if we don't see God in others, in this situation, in this circumstance, it's because we don't know God. We haven't included God in the situation or the circumstance. Don't think that it's them, it's you. We got to get our own way. And when we begin to affirm the all good, it will become the action and the activity of our life. When we unify with it, when we unify with it, understand that God is all there is, and then everything is God. I'm one with God. Everywhere that I am, God is. When we begin to affirm this, persist in affirming it. Ernest Holmes says that you do it until it's so clear in you. It's that you become so one with God that nothing in you can resist it. That's the persistence. Right here, right now, I'm one with God. 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 I'm one with Spirit, the Holy Spirit. And so, we have to begin to persist until we do this. If people have looked one way to us, situations and circumstances have looked one way to us, that's because that's the only way we see it. If we don't get along with others, it's because we don't get along with ourselves. If there's no joy in the situation and circumstance, it's because we didn't bring it. Not them, you. You didn't bring the joy. If there's no healing occurring, it's because you haven't told the whole story. You've left God out of it. You've left the very thing that is breathing you, that is living you, you've left it out. And so for us, we said then that we begin to prove these principles in our life through our prayer and our treatment. And last week I reminded us that there's 5 steps to our prayer and our treatment. There's the recognition, there's the unification, there's the realization, thanksgiving, and release. Last week we demonstrated the recognition and the unification, and this week I want to talk a little bit about then the realization. That is the part of prayer for us where we begin to state definitely the things that we desire. Health, wholeness, understanding, surrender, money, the house, the car, the relationship. And you have to state it that way. You have to be very clear about what you want and state it in that way. So then let's just go into prayer, all of us together. And I'm going to invite you then to join me in the prayer. And so let's just start right at top. See, we want to begin to have demonstrations in our lives. We want to begin to have manifestations in our lives. And we start right at our starting point with God, where we say that God is all that there is. That there's one mind, one power, one presence. One power in the universe that is greater than we are. And that this one mind, this one power, this presence and this energy, its essence is everywhere. It's right where we are right here and right now. It is intelligent. It's so intelligent that it's breathing me and breathing you now without us doing anything for it to happen and occur. It's so intelligent that it causes the whole entire universe to operate in harmony and order, where there's no chaos and no confusion. It's so wise that it's ageless, that its wisdom expands and grows for all to experience in new ways. It's magnificent, it's wonderful, it's love, it's joy, it's peace, it's creativity, it's freedom. It's right here and it's right now. The one mind, one power, one presence. One energy, one essence, in me, through me, and as me, in you, through you, and as you, emanating as your very life. And in this moment right here and right now, I know that we are one with it. Wherever all of God is, we are one with its intelligence. Its intelligence flows through us, causes us to think aright, to see anew, to hear something new, to experience life as life wants us to experience it. Oh, I am one with it, and you are one with it. Not some of it, but all of it, all that you can see and all that you can't see, all that's visible and all that's invisible. You are one with it. It can be no other way. And so as we move then into the realization, as we move then into that place then where we begin to state affirmatively the things that we desire, in this moment, I know then that right where I am, God is. And that the very words that I speak are God's words. That they are whole, perfect, and complete, and that they go forth in the way that God desires them to go forth. That they land on those who are ready to receive. In this way that I just stated my realization, you too can begin to state your realization. I invite you now in this moment to quietly or out loud, if you like, to state your own realization that there's healing occurring in your life, that there's wholeness in your thoughts, that you are one with God in everywhere, in every situation, in every circumstance. Get even more personal and specific about it, that God is right where I am and right where Michelle is. And our interaction and our communication together must be God's ideas. Our movement and our action together must be divine, you see. Get personal about it. There's only one mind, one power, one presence. And God right here and right now as a centerpiece, it has its way as we surrender to it, to its perfect guidance, to its perfect order, to the natural rhythm and harmony that it's flowing to, that it's breathing to, that it's beating to. Go ahead in your own self, with your own self, state your own realization. Begin to prove the principles. Whatever it is, say it silently. Say it out loud. I don't care how you say it, but say it. Begin in this moment to affirm for yourself that prayer goes with me everywhere, all the day, everywhere I am. Begin in this moment to state and affirm that nothing in you prohibits you from moving forth in prayer in your day. That you start out in prayer, that you start out your day in meditation, that you start with God. Go ahead, affirm that for your own self. Get rid of your old ideas. Get rid of your limited thinking. Get rid of the things that hold you back from living the life that you want to live. Decide in this moment to affirm whatever it is, whatever whatever it is. I don't care what it is. Ernest Holmes said it doesn't matter if it's marbles or if it's millions. I don't care. The law doesn't care. Just get to praying. State it. Don't be afraid to state it. Don't be afraid to pray and ask for the things that you desire. For I know now in this moment that the law, the perfect law of God Almighty, that is good, that is precise, that it'll give you the very thing that you desire. Oh, I know it to be the absolute truth right here and right now for me, and I know it to be the absolute truth for you. And so now move with me into Thanksgiving, where the sense of expectancy is already done. So we give thanks in this moment for the healing that's occurred. We give thanks in this morning for the uprooting of the old ideas. We give thanks right here, right now, for a new perspective, for a new way of seeing things. We give thanks right here, right now, for the money, for the job, for the love, for the joy, for the peace, for the new relationships, for whatever it is that you desire. We give thanks for it right here and right now. That's a great expectancy. And so since it's already done, then we move into releasing and letting it go, where we just simply say we take the words that have been spoken and we place it into the law. And the law is within you and the law is within me. That's everything in us accepting the words that we've spoken. That's everything in us accepting our very prayers. There's everything within us accepting our very treatments. And so in doing this, knowing that there's no opposition to the words that we've spoken, we place them into the law of mind. We take them into ourselves. We receive them whole, full, and complete. And so then in knowing this, then we know that the demonstration has already been made because we've converted things into thoughts. We've moved and changed our situations and our circumstances from situations and circumstances to thoughts. And so it's already done. The demonstration has already been made. Made where? In the mind first and then in the physical. And so as we live in the demonstration, I know then that each of us are moved to an even greater expectancy of more and more good. That each of us are moved into an even greater expectancy of more and more God. Each of us are moved into an even greater expectancy of all the things that we can't even imagine. It's good. It's good. Oh, you got to be praying if you want to change your life. You got to be treating. You got to be speaking the word. So as we just let the words go together, knowing that it's already done. You just anchor our words together then by saying, and so it is.